We started questioning our personalities, we started questioning our decisions, we started questioning our identity. Whenever you find yourself doing any of this, you need to pause, think, and refocus. Hi Jams, welcome to another episode of Modern Tigress with Jennifer. Today I'll be talking about self-love. Self-love is a very controversial concept because it means different things to different people. To me, self-love is putting yourself first. Self-love is loving yourself unconditionally. Self-love is understanding yourself. Self-love is knowing that you are enough. Self-love is not comparing yourself to others. Self-love is understanding your process, being okay with the stage you are, and working towards getting to your success. Self-love is something that is easier said than done. In so many ways, we have deviated from loving ourselves. In so many ways, we've become a pushover. In so many ways, we've started questioning who we are as a person. Anytime you find yourself on social media, comparing yourself to other people, hating your hair, hating your skin, hating how you talk, it can come in different aspects. Whenever you find yourself doing this, just know that you are deviating from what really matters. We exist in an era where there are several noises, there are several negative things that can actually make us deviate from being our true self, that can actually make us deviate from representing our true identities, that can actually make us hate ourselves, that can lower our self-esteem, that can make us be less confident about ourselves. Exist in a world that is filled with the scenarios of the more you look, the less you see. But in order for you to remain focused on your true self, not questioning yourself, not second-guessing yourself, you have to really remain focused. However, you cannot really remain focused on what doesn't exist. Self-love is like a skill. You have to develop it over time in order to become very good at it. This topic is very personal to me because there was a time in my life where I used to have very poor self-esteem. I literally existed in the shadow of other people. I hardly talked in the crowd. I hardly walked past the crowd. I was so ashamed of several things about myself, and this stemmed from my childhood. This stemmed from the people I found myself with. This stemmed from negative talks. This stemmed from so many things. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Self-love can actually be undermined by several things. Low self-esteem develops as a result of the environment we find ourselves, toxic relationships. Different things can really contribute towards destroying one's self-esteem. So it's very important that you recognize these factors because they will help you to know how to build your self-confidence, how to build your self-esteem, to build your self-love traits. Going forward, in my journey towards overcoming this low self-esteem trait, I developed 5 very strict principles. These principles helped me recognize that yes, I might not be like every other person. I might have my own way of understanding things, yet that doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me unique. It makes me different from other people. The number one of these principles is acceptance. In order to start your self-love journey, you have to first of all accept yourself. You have to accept your uniqueness. You have to imbibe a positive mindset, always talking positively to yourself. You have to accept your strengths, what makes you different, the things you can do and the things you cannot do. You have to accept your weaknesses, what actually makes you very different from other people. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to say sweet things to yourself. You have to look yourself in the mirror every day, embrace your difference and accept them, knowing fully well that you were created in God's image and therefore He never makes mistakes. You have to seek support when you can. Growing up, I had so many insecurities. I used to have very terrible acne, like very terrible acne. It destroyed my self-esteem. That is even like the number one thing that destroyed my self-esteem, apart from other things. It made me, I couldn't walk with my shoulders high. I was often walking with my head down because I was always afraid of what people would say about me, of what people would say to me. Of course, if you have acne, you'll notice that whenever you're walking, people are always trying to be doctors to you. Oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Oh, your skin is very bad. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? All these things made me very conscious of myself whenever I'm walking where there is a crowd. Coupled with that was I had a very bad temper. It affected my relationship with family, it affected my relationship with friends, it affected so many things. So I accepted that this was a defect. I accepted this was a deficiency and was willing to work on it, not because other people wanted me to change for them, not because I wanted to change for another person, but because it was what I wanted for myself. I had things I wanted to achieve and knew that was going to act as a stumbling block towards achieving my success. So I had to work on it. So accepting yourself also has to do with recognizing your inadequacies and knowing when to seek support. It's not necessarily because you want to please other people or you want to change for someone, but because you want to do it for yourself. The number 2 principle is forgiveness. The place of forgiveness towards completing your self-help journey is understanding that as a human being, you are bound to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. You cannot look at your life and look at the life of someone else and think that that person is perfect and you are the worst, because by the time you start entertaining those thoughts, the more depressed you become, the more discontented you become with yourself, and that is the ultimate enemy of self-love. You end up hating yourself so bad that you can't even afford to look yourself in the mirror. When you look at yourself in the mirror, the more you hate yourself. You have to accept that as a human being, you are flawed by nature. The beauty about being human is that by the time you make mistakes, you always have an opportunity of rectifying those mistakes, but you cannot be able to rectify those mistakes when you have not even been able to forgive yourself of that mistake in the first place. You have to be able to forgive yourself for dating the wrong man, for dating the wrong woman. You have to be able to forgive yourself for saying that wrong thing that hurt someone. You have to be able to forgive yourself for doing that thing that ended up landing you in that position you are right now. You have to be able to forgive yourself for losing that job, for making whatever mistake you made that is making you still hate yourself. You have to be able to let go. Only then can you be able to really, really forgive yourself. You cannot love yourself if you've not forgiven yourself. You cannot. Because each time you look yourself in the mirror, you are not seeing yourself. You often see your flaws. You will often see your inadequacies. You will often see everything that you have done wrong. You will ignore the right things you've done in your life. You will ignore the beautiful things that makes up you. You will ignore all the great things about you and be focused only on the wrong ones. You have to be able to forgive yourself. Only then can you be able to open the door for brighter things, for the good people, for the right job, to do the things you love. Only then can you be able to live, to be happy. You have to forgive yourself. If not for anything, for yourself. The 3rd principle I'm going to be sharing today is the principle of contentment. When I talk about contentment, I am not saying you should be lazy. Contentment is not a room for you to be lazy. Contentment is not relaxing without doing anything to leave your comfort zone. Contentment is being happy with your present circumstance, with the perception of growing out of it, perception of improving on it. Contentment is not you should go and lie down on your bed and sleep and wait for a miracle to happen to boomerang your life to the success that you anticipate. No, that is not the kind of contentment I'm talking about. Contentment is knowing that just because you are in this stage doesn't mean you will not get to your final destination. So many people, they've ended up making very wrong decisions in their lives because they were envious of other people's journey and they decided to cut short their own, to follow the same route the other person followed, forgetting that different human beings got different destinies, they've got different fates. Just because your own journey is crooked and rough and theirs is smooth doesn't make them better than you. It just means that you people are different. And it's okay to be on your unique lane. As long as you're putting in every effort to get to your end point, why then try to boycott your journey and follow the journey of someone else? Why be envious of other people? Why destroy your destiny by following the destiny of another person? The 4th principle I'm going to be mentioning right now is my favorite of them all. This principle, to me, is a principle that's helped me greatly towards self-awareness, towards growth, towards my development, towards everything. I had to practice to get to the position I am right now, in the building of my self-confidence, improvement of my self-esteem. And that principle is becoming your number one fan, becoming your own best friend. Sweetheart, let me tell you something. Being your best friend is studying yourself, like in-depthly studying yourself. If I'm to stop you on the way right now and ask you, who are you? Can you in the snap of a finger tell me who you are without doing stuttering throughout, stammering? Can you in the space of 10 seconds tell me who you are from head to toe? Who you are, who you represent, your identity, your personality, what makes up you, what makes up Jennifer? Can you tell me who you are as a person? So many of us can't do this, and that is because we do not have any relationship with ourselves. We've not built any relationship, any tangible relationship with ourselves. In order to become your own best friend, you have to be able to know yourself deeply from the inside. You have to know who you are, what you want, your identity, your personality. You have to be able to make certain decisions for yourself because they are a part of you. And the only way you can know those things, those decisions you know are a part of you, those things you know are your identity, the only way to be able to represent them, the only way to be able to live them is knowing them. And you cannot know them without having a relationship with yourself. You see why it's important to be your own best friend? You have to be able to clap for yourself, even in your small winnings. You have to be able to cheer yourself up when no one else is cheering you. You have to be able to inspire yourself when no one else is inspiring you. There are several mistakes I've made in my life. There are several decisions I've taken in my life. There are several steps I've taken in my life where no one was there to cheer me up. Yes, several people, they've told me, no, you can't do this. But I was my number one fan. I was cheering myself up. I was patting myself in the back. I was motivating myself. I was complimenting myself. I was being everything to myself. Because I believe that if I don't do that, then nobody else can be able to do that. If I don't see the good in what I am doing, someone else cannot see the good in that thing. There are no two ways about it. So you have to be able to know yourself deeply. You have to study yourself, observe yourself, know your limits. Know the things you can take and the things you cannot take, the things you can accept from people and the things you cannot accept, the opinion of people that counts in your life and the ones that doesn't count. Only by knowing this can you be able to stay focused away from the outside noises, the external distractions. Without that, you will keep swinging. You will live a double life. You will keep comparing yourself to other people. You will keep being discontented with yourself. You keep hating yourself. Your confidence will be at the lowest ebb. Everything about you will always suck to you. The essence I know myself right now, there is nothing anyone has to say to me that will really count to me. As long as I've not by myself recognized that thing as an incapacity, then your opinion of it doesn't really count. These days, I walk with my shoulders high. I walk like a queen. I walk knowing that there is no one else like me. What I do, the way I think, my personality, my physiques, no one else like me. When you learn to live like this, the opinion of others can hardly count when it comes to you. You can exist in your space alone without feeling inadequate, without being depressed, unhappy. When you become your own best friend, you become more productive. You will become happier. You become more contented. You find that your goals, those goals you see that are beginning, that seem unattainable to you, with time, you start achieving them one by one, because self-love has its own package of goodness, like its own package of benefits. And only by having it can you be able to tap into those benefits. It is not a day's journey. Like I said, it's a skill you develop over time. And with time, with consistency, with practicing mindfulness, you become very good at it that you get to a certain extent, people will think you are very egocentric. But do not be distracted. You know yourself. You know what you are protecting. You know what you are safeguarding. And because of that, you will not allow those outside and inner voices to disrupt the process. Thank you very much for joining me into this episode. I am very grateful. If you know you have been impacted by what you heard today, please do well to subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you very much. Bye.